Hello, good evening, and welcome to my first live stream video for several weeks. So despite the fact we've all been on lockdown, or most of us I suppose, across the world, and I should have had plenty of opportunity to do this, having got off to quite a good start with the channel. Basically, I found myself not in a really good place with the chess, losing a lot of games and not winning anything, and just not playing very well, which meant I played less, which meant I played worse. And when you're a bit like me and you've got quite a competitive streak in you, and it's really difficult to take getting beaten all the time, when we know that with chess the only way to get any good is to play it regularly and to take the beatings that you're going to get, but that's not always, it's not always easy to do that. And you know, the times I've turned on live chess and gone to play in a tournament and played one game, and for one reason or another got beat, either because the other guy's much better than me or because I make stupid mistakes all the time, and it gets really quite disheartening. So I just stopped. I'll not stop playing, but I'll just playing some correspondence games and only playing a few moves a day, which means you're not really learning anything, and you're not sure if you're being fair to the people you're playing against, even though it's correspondence and nobody's expecting you to do too much. But it's always easy to find reasons not to do stuff, and you know, I've still been busy with work and stuff like that. So despite the situation that's going on around the world at the moment, and I hope everyone out there, if you're tuning in, I hope everyone out there is staying safe and looking after your family and that, and trying to keep this horrible disease out of your lives and whatever, because you don't want it. Anyway, back to the chess. So today I thought, yep, I'll summon up the courage to get on here and make another video, because I had a chat the other day with my friend from Finland, Firefile, who actually said he was missing the videos, and when was I going to do some more. So I said, well, you know, is anybody interested? And he said, well, I like them. So I said, well, okay, if you like them, then I'll do one. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here today, simply because someone said they like my videos. So thanks for that, Firefile. You've got me back on it, and my interest has started to come back the last few days. I played an online tournament last week with chess club from Cornwall. That's where I'm from, Cornwall in the UK, and there's a local chess club that I started going to over the winter period, and then of course this thing comes along and upsets everything. So there's not been any OTB games, and I only found out the other day that there's an online chess club for Cornwall using with some of the players that I know from the club. So I asked if I could join. They said yeah, and they did a tournament last Friday night, and yep, I was the weakest link in the whole group, probably by about 300 or 400 points. But I played 7 games, got well and truly trounced in all of them. But the encouraging thing was I actually didn't mind getting beat. That's not quite true, but you know, when you're playing players of 18, 19, 2000, and the strongest players well over 2100, you know, at my level, and if you're a beginner player, when you're coming up against players like that, you know, the best you can hope to do is to last as long as possible. They'll beat you in the end, and for I think 4 of the 7 games I actually put up quite a reasonable fight. And then I got struck with the dreaded miscue on the iPad, and if you're out there and you do that, it is such a nuisance, because in a couple of games I was actually doing quite well, and call them misclicks, and I went to move a piece, and particularly one I meant to take a rook with a queen, and I pressed the wrong square, and I ended up a square short and lost my queen immediately. And that was the third time in about half a dozen games that I'd done that. So it's a genuine error. It wouldn't happen if it was an OTB game. An OTB, for anyone out there that doesn't know what that means, is if you're playing across the board from someone. So if you're playing one-on-one, in with a board and pieces, then that's called over the board or OTB. So yeah, I mean that sort of thing wouldn't happen if you were playing in front of someone or with someone else. But it was the third time I'd done it in, say, just a few games, and it was really, really very frustrating and annoying. So that was a bit disappointing, but the overall experience of playing with these guys was pretty good. So I enjoyed that. Also, before I get into, I'm just going to quickly go over a couple of games that I actually won. I mean, there's so many that I lost. I'm not going to bother going into them, but I'm actually going to go over a couple of games I won because it's going to make me feel a bit better. So if you've tuned in expecting to see me lose a few games, well, if you check out my profile on Lichess, all the games are on there, and you can see the ones I've won and the ones I've lost, and there's quite a few of those. But I'm gonna just go through a couple of games that I've managed to win. One thing, it's glad to see the Professor back. I'm sure, I hope all the people in the BYP fan club have tuned in and seen the latest video that he's done. Glad to hear that his wife's is doing well. That's really good stuff. So we're all waiting for you to. We're all waiting for some more of your videos. And hi to Josa. Lovely to see you, mate. Thanks very much for your comment. I've actually managed to remember to turn the comments on, because I usually forget. For anyone that doesn't know, Yosanim is one of the really, really top players in the BYP fan club. I'm not sure what his rating is. I've not played him for ages. He's a really top bloke. He's a very, very, very strong player. And I know because I play a guy called Strides quite a lot, who's also been giving me a right hammering lately, and I've only won one game in about the last 12 or 13 games I played against him when we were really even. But he's been playing a lot of games. I know that because I've been talking to him, and I know he's been playing a lot of games, and he's improved tremendously. So well done, Strides. I don't know if you'll ever tune in and watch this, but I know he's improved a lot, and I know he said he's been playing Yosa as well. And even though Yosa's been kicking his butt, he's really enjoyed having his butt kicked. Yosa's really, really good. Just one of a number of really top players in the BYP fan club. So lovely to see you again, Yosa. And I always feel as if I'm going to play you as if I'll be wasting your time. I know you probably don't think that, but that's how I think. And I don't like to waste people's time. Yeah. So anyway, so great to see the Prof back. Looking forward to seeing some more great videos from him. And if you are tuning into this channel for the first time, then I am pretty much a beginner player. I'm never going to be that good. So I'm just going to I just run through games that I've played. The Professor does games of the top players, past and present, and does an excellent job of presenting those games. And he runs through the way they play, the way they think, and for me, he gives really good analysis, stuff that I can actually follow. It's one of the easiest channels that I've actually managed to watch, and actually learn something from the game. from the games these top players play. Unfortunately, I can never translate it into my own games, but at least you can try. So if you're a beginner player and you're here, I'm a beginner player, and hopefully from my mistakes you'll learn and probably try not to do some of the things that I do. So on with the two games I'm gonna focus on tonight. I played a tournament and I came up against a player called Rank Rotten. I think is also in the BYP fan club. So there's another section of the club that's aiming at a couple of chess leagues, and one's a low-rated chess league, and that's being run by Tito Mafioso, and they're running regular competitions as well. And this was a game. Rank Rotten's rated nearly 1600. My rating in live chess at the moment is just over 1100. Although the rating does vary on depending on the variation that you're playing. But in this series, or in this section, my rating is 1100, and I played Rank Rotten a couple of times. Been quite soundly beaten. But I just picked this game, so it gets depressing when you look at all your defeats. So I thought I'll focus on a couple of games I actually managed to win. So I can't really remember the thought process too much. So all I've tried to do is just play across the board, see what the opponent's doing, and try and remember to play with the sound opening principles of developing the pieces, trying to fight for the centre, get your minor pieces out, and then see if you can come up with some sort of a plan, get the king safe, and see where you go from there. If you're a beginner player, you don't really want to learn too many openings or too much about the openings, because games can change quite quickly. And I think there's a section about Fischer Random where all the back rank pieces, your minor and major pieces, are all messed up. So it means you can't play normal openings, and that was quite a thing to watch. I've seen some videos by Simon Williams, Ginger GM, who's quite a laugh actually. Quite entertaining, so check his channel out. Simon Williams, Ginger GM. He's quite funny, and he's quite instructive as well. And just watching these games where the back rank pieces are all mixed up, it means that you have to play the right moves. So it's I think it's too far advanced maybe for beginner players. Playing it normally is hard enough. But check it out, and check out some of Simon's videos as well. So they're really quite good. Anyway, on with this game. Okay. So we're facing what looks like a London opening. So yeah, with the pawn out to d4, the bishop out, and then with him looking to get his pieces into the middle. A3. Well, I could have played here. I could have played knight out to h5. Instead, I chose to develop my bishop again, just thinking about getting me pieces out. If you're playing in the London, that's the move. That's a move to watch. Is the f6 knight moving to h5, because now the pawn has moved to e3. It can quite easily lead to you losing your bishop if you're not very careful. So in London, that's the move to a3 would always create you a square for your bishop to retreat to. So that's something to always watch for. I'm playing the London, this is what I want to tell everybody this, but I'll usually look at maybe at this point to sometimes play this a3, so that if the knight comes in, to h5, then I've got an escape square for the bishop back on h2, which still gives us some good control over this long diagonal. Anyway, onwards and upwards. Out comes the other bishop. So I decided you've got a choice here: do you take or retreat and cover your retreat your bishop and give it some cover and see what white's going to do. So he basically forced me hand, and then the next decision is which pawn to take with. So I decided I'd take with that pawn and open up the H file and see maybe if something could come from that later in the game. Out come the knight. I decided I'd back up my pawn in the middle. And I say I'm just talking these through as I'm trying to remember the how I was playing at the time. So again, I've decided to challenge his bishop, and obviously we've swapped the bishops out there. The pawn is covered by the queen, so not particularly worried at this stage. I'm not sure that castling there was maybe the right thing to do, given I'd moved me H pawn. So, you know, maybe someone a bit irate might want to comment on that at some point. I was wondering at the time, I thought, oh, I wonder if I'd made a bit of a boo-boo there, having opened up the H file. Perhaps I should have left, or perhaps I shouldn't have castled that side, just to move me queen out and castled long. But anyway, once you've done it, you've done it. So we're now both pretty much fully developed. I've castled, he hasn't, so I decided I'd attack with the queen, and as I'd seen that the knight was hanging, of course, until he blocks. So again, I've moved my knight up to pressure his knight. So now we're able to play in and take out another defender. Now that there was probably an error as the knight was hanging, so that I think that might probably took me by surprise, really. Just move that back. I thought he would take with the queen, so you know, perhaps I think that was probably a mistake, especially as it now allowed me to capture a rook, and at this point I'm +3, thinking, well, that's okay, not done too bad. I've just swapped out a rook for a knight. So it just goes to show, even if you're a bit irate, you can still make mistakes. So of course I've got two knights together there, or he's got two knights together, so decided I'd take one, which means his knight plays away. The pawn over on G6 is covering 2 flight squares for that knight, so his only option really is to go back, or he could have gone back in front of the rook, but there we go. Okay, so we've got an open file, so I decided that I'd stick a rook on the open file. Little opportunity to play a check on him, and I'm still trying to think at this stage what I can do. So just close the centre really with that pawn move to d5, and know that it covers the loose pawn on e4, and that pawn itself is also covered by the pawn on e6. So being I'm ahead, I'd really like to. I really wouldn't mind getting the queens off the board. So it's always a good thing to do if you're a bit ahead in the game and the situation looks as if it could favour you, and see if you can get your opponent to trade the queens. Well, he's behind, so that's obviously the correct thing to do. If you're behind, is not to trade pieces. So I've now managed to double up on the C file and see what we can do from there. I'm now a little bit concerned about his queen, potentially, if he's obviously going to be looking to see if he can get to h5 at some point, I would think, but it requires him to get his knight back into the game somehow if he's going to attack down here. So I wasn't overly concerned, but I was just trying to see how I could break through and get through to his king side here. So we got the queen trade we wanted. So I decided I'd just pull move the king out, which then gives me the back rank to move my rooks about on. So as I'm ahead again, I thought, well, let's see if we can force a trade. Well, again, he's trying to avoid the trade, and now, of course, I'm looking to see if I can double the rooks on the H file. And going back to the professor's videos, I mean, this is what all the good players do. It's one of the things that he always says to do, and one of the things all the good players do. If the opportunity is there, try and get double rooks on an open file, and in the right situation should be very strong. And at the moment, I'm thinking, well, this is not looking too bad. So I'm still thinking about how I can trap him. And then the opportunity arises, a pawn push. He takes it with the knight. So now I can remove his other rook, and I'm still I've got a pawn majority, and I've got a rook against a knight. So now I'm just trying to make sure. I want to try and trap his king, so I'm using my king as an attacking piece. It's one of the things I was learnt in a lesson on Lichess. You've got in the practice area, and that you've got different things, different area tactics you can use, and a couple of them in there show you how to use the king as an attacking piece. So I've tried to remember that in this game. Of course, what he's trying to do is just remove my pieces, my pawns. So again, using the king as an attacking piece, and of course now we've got the knight out of the way. There's an opportunity for us now to try and close in. I've just got to watch that I don't get forked like that. Okay, well, of course it was too late, and I managed to get forked and lose my last piece. And now I've just got to make sure I can convert. So I had to do quite a bit of thinking at this point, because I had to try and make sure that I'd be able to get my pawn in. And of course at this point I realised I'd be able to. And so now it was just a matter of trying to manoeuvre around to try and make sure we could put the final nail in the coffin. I'm sure there's probably quicker ways of doing this. And then I did exactly the same thing again. So always try and watch out for those forks. So again, a little miscalculation. So now I'm really having to think, because I'm thinking, right, I've got two pawns here and I really mustn't mess up. So I'm just trying to force that knight out of the way. Trying to think which squares can I get to and not leave him in a position where he can fork me with that pawn. So we get another one in. and I'm determined now not to make the same mistake as I'd made previously. So really trying to make sure that we don't mess up again, and Queen comes in for the kill. Thank you very much. So that was that, and I was quite pleased with that game, even though what could have been catastrophic errors of allowing the knight to fork me when it really shouldn't have happened. So I managed to scrape a win there, having almost thrown the game away. But you know, it was a really good win. At the end of the day, a win's a win, and I was quite pleased with that. So I'm just going to go and find the second game I was going to show. Going back to my win screen, which doesn't contain that many. But then I've not played that many games really. I've only played 560 games on here, and I look at other players and they've played 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 games. So if you don't play, you can't possibly get any better. So you know, if that helps you, you're a little bit like me. If you find getting beaten hard to take, you can only get better at this game if you play. Okay, so try and put the bad bits behind you and try and get something out of the games where things go wrong. Okay, so I'm going to pick this game. Let's have a look. Yeah, I'm going to pick this game because this again is a bit of a rare win. Game played against my online pal Strides, also from the BYP fan club. We'd been really evenly matched up until a couple of months ago, and then all of a sudden, game after game after game after game after game, completely outplayed me, and I was playing like an absolute monkey. Couldn't win for toffee, and I'm about 12 or 13 games behind him, but I have managed a win and 2 draws in the last 3 or 4 games. The current game we're in at the moment, I think he's going to beat me because he's playing his normal self and I'm playing my normal self, and he's doing really well at the moment. Anyway, I'm going to show this game, so if you're watching Strides, sorry I could have shown any number of games you beat me on, but I'm going to go through this one where I managed to play as white, and I showed this game because I actually think I was quite pleased with the way I played. I decided I'd sort of go for the centre quite quickly, always watching for that e-pawn to come forward. Another tactic that's come up, I've seen it a few times, is if you get your king and your bishop on the same diagonal. This is quite a good move. It gives you the opportunity to put good pressure on the king's defence, and it makes it quite difficult for black to defend it. And it gets the king out in the open. So we've castled. We've only got one minor piece to develop each, and of course now black's king's out in the open. So we're playing on, and I decided that I'd push the pawns on the other side of the board to try and make something happen against his defence. So we've played the h4, looking to play h5, I think. and then an opportunity for the queen and the bishop, and then I spotted that move. So we get a rook, and we're still even Stevens at the moment, but I think I'm quite happy with the way things are going. So there we are, trying to provoke. Now we've got the king in the corner, and I'm thinking, okay, what can I do here? And I thought I'd play the rook up to h5, hoping that would be the result. And I think that turned out to be quite I think it was a mistake by Stride. I think he said while we were chatting in the game that he thought that was an error. And I'd seen that obviously now the back rank is clear. I've got the pawn covering an escape square. We've now got the back rank clear, and in for the kill. So I was really pleased with that game. It seemed to come together quite well, and it was good to see the strength of a really advanced pawn that couldn't really be taken, providing you can do something with one of the other pieces. And of course, once the back rank was clear, we then got access with the queen. So I was quite pleased with that game. So cheers for that, Strides. And I say he's playing really well. If you want a game with a good opponent, then check him out. He's a good player. He's improving. So there we are. Thanks very much for tuning in. I'll better get back to the comments because I've forgotten about the comments. Oh, there isn't any more comments on there. So I've been on here for half an hour, so that's probably enough. I'm hopefully my mojo's back, and I'm gonna play a few more games, and I'm gonna do some more of these videos. You sit and do these things and you think, oh, will people like them? Who's going to find this interesting? And you know, will anybody watch and stuff? But the way I look at things is, if you can help one person, you know, if you can inspire or help or encourage one person with something you do, then you've achieved something positive. So I do that with other things in my life as well. So you know, I'm quite competitive, so I bike ride quite a lot, and I use that to get fit. So you know, if that inspires other people to do that, get fit and healthy, then great. Chess is great for your mind, great for thinking, and if someone gets inspired to take this game up and inspired to learn and improve and do better, then, you know, even if I don't improve that much, if it inspires you to get better and play better, then all well and good. I will have achieved something. So I'd like to thank you all very much for tuning in, however many of you that is, and I will be doing some more of these videos very soon. I can assure you now there won't be another 2-month break between these videos. So if you like the videos, please subscribe, click the like button, click the subscribe button. I keep forgetting to mention that because I see all the other professional YouTubers do it all the time, and it's usually the first thing they say: like and subscribe, like and subscribe. If you want to see these regular videos getting up in your feed, then click the like button and subscribe to Boris's channel. Thank you very much indeed, and we will catch you later. And don't forget, Back Your Old Professor fan club on Live Chess. Some really great players in there, some top guys. quite happy to share their knowledge and teach you and help you and so on and so forth. Great stuff, and you'll get some great games with some really good people. And I can't recommend these guys enough. There's a load of them out there. Phoenix, so Yosemite always gets mentioned. Roadstar, BYP himself, Strize. There's a guy from India I play. I'm probably going to pronounce his name wrong. Joshira Hall 123, another really good player. We play quite a lot of games. CPHL from Sweden, playing him quite a bit. There's a new player from the States called Lamontra, having some really good games with him as well. And the old mate Vifile, who's out there somewhere, and I'm playing him at the moment, and he's well ahead of me, same as most people are. So if you want to give me a game, look me up on Lichess, chuck me a challenge, but do make it a correspondence game, because I'm not around online all the time. So that's enough waffle from me. Thank you very much. And I will be back shortly with another video. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Cheerio.